We're going to do a few shorts.
Yep. And this video and the next few videos are based on myths, facts, science, and who is Cain. You with us? All makes sense at the end. So, you cannot speak about Cain without speaking about his parents, can you? Because that's how you find out who someone is. And we've been told, if we take it from the Bible, that Adam and Eve are the first in the new world. Because now, before we were just told they were first.
And the new world.
And the new world is something, is a terminology they use for colonialism and the takeover. They called, what's it called? America the New World, didn't they? They called America the New World. So, with all of that information, there must have been a world prior to Adam and Eve.
The pre-Adamites.
The pre-Adamites. I wonder who they could be. Hi.
You see me?
You see me? Because, and so we delved into that. We delved into it. Now, what was interesting is we've always been told that they were in a garden, which is called paradise, and that they got kicked out of paradise for something that they did. What did they do?
They ate the apple.
Now, some people will say it's a metaphorical apple. Some people say it was a real apple because a tree existed here, which was in Atlantis, which we now know, which makes perfect sense, that Atlantis is America. Don't like the sound of that, but there are plenty informations that will prove that fact. And it makes sense because where is the Atlantic? Between America and Africa, isn't it? Yeah. That's me doing the math, right? Anyhow, and so once we started to look at the maps, it became very interesting, didn't it?
Very.
So the thing was, obviously, you know, we've seen other people depict them as black, but use the same story. You can't do that. Once you start going into science and history and the rest of it. Now,
I'm using your science.
Well, we're going to use the science that we've been given, which is the white man's science. Because, you know, they like to say, when you see black people, this is all Afrocentric. They're just making it up. So we're not going to use anything from us. We'll use it from you. And so we found some old maps, didn't we? 15th century ones, weren't they?
15th century.
15th century maps. And I've said to you guys before.
14th as well.
14th century. That I've got a few of them. It took me, sometimes you got to pay hundreds of pounds for them, just to let you know. Sometimes they won't let you read them. And a lot of them are, depending on who was in power, they're in Latin. Some of them were by the Germanic Goys.
Slavic.
Go and look at who the Goys are. Look like someone, yeah. Anyway, so, you know, the JEWs call us Goys as well, don't they? There is a flag that belonged to us, which proves that the Goys were.
Yeah.
So, we found a map, and we'll put it on the screen so you can see with us. And it is written by somebody that specialises in maps and the origin of the Holy Bible. Anyway, the person who created this map was called Nicolas Vicher in 1642. And he did authentic antique Bible maps and prints from the past, 16th, 17th, 18th and 19th century. When we took a close look, at the bottom in the circle, you can see Adam, yeah? And Eve with the apples. Now, what you have to wonder is, we have a new logo. We'll talk to you about that. Because the tree might actually represent where they were. You got to take this thing from different angles, haven't you? Got to be a bit of a sleuth. And we have a logo. I've got a feeling. That's why so there are certain fruits in nature that help you find yourself. Some people mushrooms, but there's the greatest plant, And some people that have had addictions go to Africa and they're given this, and they rid themselves of every addiction, every issue. Okay, you don't believe us. It's part of our logo. So I'm wondering, actually, if that's where they were. Now, in the background, you'll see somebody in a skirt with a scarf around their forehead. And I think it's a man. But remember when you're watching our video closely about our last video, when you saw the excerpt from the Talmud, it said, if you carried on reading, in a second book published in 1902, The Tempter of Eve, he put forth the idea that the serpent was actually a black female. Now, the snake could represent a few things.
Could be metaphorical.
It could be metaphorical, but a snake does represent knowledge, doesn't it? But what knowledge? Because some people say it's a sexual thing, that basically she had sex and that's what caused the issue. Now wait, might be true. It might be true. But if it's not metaphorical and it's literal, then we've just spoken to you about that fruit. If it's not, because how did she give it to her husband unless they were sharing someone having a threesome? That doesn't make sense. According to the 16th century map, I mean, there's a reason why they chose to put that black person in the background. And it's got it's got a bare chest, so it could be, you think it's a man, it could be a woman. Those colours, actually, they could be, all right, because they said, if you look at this map, they're in Syria, Mesopotamia, by the Arabian Desert. Okay, that's where they've put them there, by Jerusalem. Now, we've got our reason to believe it could be somewhere called Nippur, or the fertile land, which is the watery place. When you look on the map, fertile waters. Will some people know where that is? Let's see. Let's have a look. So
it's in between.
It's in between, and this is the next thing. The people of Akkad in the Bible are associated with the Philistines and associated with Goliath.
And the
Scorpion King. But we'll get to all of that. Either way, it's near to Babylon. It's near to the Syrian desert, Phoenicia. We reckon
Iran.
The Persian Gulf, yeah. So we believe by Jericho that it's there, don't we?
That's where the Garden of Eden is.
In the Bible, that's that place. Eden means a place of pleasure. So what does all this represent? But then the snake could represent the original India, which is where Eden
is, on the west.
And what's in the west? America. It's on the maps. I've said to you before that they used to call America India, and India of today and Pakistan were called Hindustan. So what we're saying to you is,
these maps have changed.
These maps have changed.
How many times?
And when you call people a people, it basically changes. Now, with genetic mapping, scientists reached their conclusions after analysing DNA samples from 200 Khoisan people, an ethnic group living in modern-day South Africa and Namibia, known to carry a high portion of a branch of a DNA known as LO. Researchers then combined their DNA samples with geographical distribution, archaeological and climate change data to come up with a genomic timeline that suggested a sustained lineage of LO, stretching back 200,000 years. Their work created a kind of genetic map, tracing LO lineage to show that prehistoric humans lived in the region for about 70,000 years before they dispersed throughout the world. They're saying that gene is found in people today who they class as humans of today, which are not of colour or not black. This LO gene. So what they've said is that the Garden of Eden, that they might have been expelled, Adam and Eve, because they were expelled, weren't they? Because of what they did, it says they were told to leave, doesn't it? Where did they go? Some people say that is not the place. They say that they were in either South Africa, Namibia, Botswana, or India, which we now know today as America.
One specific map, it shows Asia is like the whole majority of what's called today Russia.
Yeah. And
So,
not just Russia, it moves above Africa too, doesn't it? It's every last part. And so what we'd like to say is who you think people are today are actually the evolution, if you want to call it, of human beings, and that they started somewhere and became something else. And that's why when we say that you could call yourself this today, like, okay, so the Native Americans, Native Indians, they call themselves. Native actually doesn't mean indigenous, does it?
yes, two different.
They're two different things. And when you look at the maps, it's all adding together. And then when you look at this particular map, which was the 14th century map. So when you look on this map, not only is Asia classed as the whole of the top of the map, apart from Spain and UK, but there it's tiny, tiny, tiny. Yeah. But then when you're looking at the words on the map, so when you look in on the map, we'll zoom in for you so you can see as well. It is called India at the bottom. Why is it called India? What's the reason for that? India in Russia? That makes no sense, does it? Okay. If you look at the wording in the middle of the map, the first word in capital letters, it says India. Now, I'm not sure what text this is. We can find out and we'll translate it and we'll come back to it. Then, if you look to by this time, they changed India to America. But on another map, you'll see in the corner that, we'll put that up to, that America was also India. So when it talks about the three Indias, where's it talking about? Okay. Then you look around the map. It's very...
On the outskirts, there's a few pictures
or drawings of naked people with white hair.
One of them's under like a tent, which is called cannibal.
It says cannibals. Remember they said that we ate people in America. But when you look on the map, the people that it's depicting don't look black. They don't look black. But they've all got white hair, all of them. So I don't know what kind of species they are, and they've blazing a fire and it's got body parts on it. So, and if you go up to the top, you'll find more of them. One's being mauled by an elephant and another one is shooting an arrow at the elephant. So who are these people? Well, whoever they are, they look like Adam and Eve in the previous map. So we've got a lot to go through here. And what we'll show you to match up with the name that they've given to
Asia.
We'll show you some people who are classed as Asians. Enjoy to the next one.